All right, and I should be live, even though it technically says it's going live. It is actually live right now. I have learned that this thing lies to me all the freaking time. By the way, what's going on, guys? Check me out at twitter.com/lore reloaded, as well as twitch.tv/lore reloaded. I'm going to start gaming over there and just hanging out in the near future. Hope all y'all doing well today. Figured I would try this again, this time without some crazy, feckless, as it were, joke, and talk about something serious, something actual real out there, as it were. What's going on, Derek Rankin? Hoping you're doing okay today. God, I can't talk. I need to do more of these live streams, actual real ones, so that when I, talk to you guys and interact, I'm not stumbling over my words. Leyton, is he the TOS Admiral or the DS9 Admiral? Asked Nathan. He is the DS9 Admiral, Norman. You were thinking of, the original series Who Wanted to Go to War. What was his name? I forget. He was an African-American black guy. Fox Masters given 99 cents. As you guys know, this channel lives or dies with your support, so I definitely appreciate that. Haven't seen you on Twitch in a long time. Death be told, that is true. I have been making videos for you guys. Apologize to your Vox Overlord. Loved your satire videos, says Terry McHugh. Yeah, for those who missed it, I actually did a video where I said I'm apologizing because YouTube is making me, basically. And, I don't regret. I regret putting it up because it was too serious and people don't get my humor, and it didn't go along with the lore aspect of the channel. It was wrong to put it on this channel, and I regret that. But I thought the satire was good. Third like, how's Lore? Hey Lore, what's up? Well, thank you for the liking. First off, if you guys are watching this, definitely hit that like button. I'm doing well, so let's go ahead and talk about Admiral Leyton and quote-unquote reasonable science fiction militaries. Because, as you guys have known, the first 2 days I did Trek with a specific focus on Dominion War and getting into the whole coup done by Starfleet. And then today I did a breakdown of the Raptor from the Colonials in Battlestar Galactica. And tomorrow I'll probably be doing something Mech Warrior related. It's just really interesting to me how different and drastically different these things are. When you look at like Battlestar Galactica, or you look at The Expanse, or you look at near anything else when it comes to how militaries or how gruff things are handled, it is so drastically different from what you see when it comes to Star Trek. Even with the movement in Discovery, there's still a notable difference there. And it's just intriguing because what people accept in all these other genres, they won't in Trek. They get really, really upset about it. And so when I'm thinking about that and walking through it, the question of why pops up, right? A lot of people get upset about Deep Space Nine because they think it moves away from what Trek was supposed to be. A lot of people really don't like In a Pale Moonlight and don't like Homefront and Paradise Lost. But those are very, very milquetoast in comparison to what we've seen with like The Expanse, Battlestar Galactica, Mech War, anything you want to do, you know? So the question is, why exactly does it work that way? Taking a look at what you guys, Takawa Tinga, 2 streams in 1 day, Lore Reloaded. I think I might faint. Yeah, the first one was stupid. But the second one, I want to do something real with you guys. Barry Bend, reasonable military. I vote the players of Battletech who use Urbies to destroy Atlas and Awesome Heavy and Assault Mechs. Fair enough. What's going on, American Buffalo? Michael Maloney says Starfleet is just barely a paramilitary organization. You know, here's the thing, though. When you take a look at Star Trek and you look at what Starfleet is, It is quite obviously in the original series a military organization. In early episodes of TNG, it's less so, but there are still vestiges of it being a military, and definitely in late TNG and mid to late DS9, then Voyager and Enterprise, and even Discovery, it's a military. It's more a military than it's not, but when people look at it, they always think of it as this hippie-hugging peacenik organization. For some reason, one season out of, or a couple of seasons out of one series, out of like, what, 7 series they have? They say that they're not, and that just set the standard. And it's intriguing when you think about that, because I go that way too. Like when I think of Starfleet, at least historically, I've always thought of the way TNG looked at it and how DS9 made it into a military organization, but it was never originally that way. It was never this science only, science looking organization. Adam of Grayscale, I'm rewatching DS9 now. Nice. Stuart Ford says we need more Makos. Daniel's Hot Topic says Sisko is a prophet now. He can travel through space and time without the need of a starship. He basically is a low-tier god, but some people don't want to admit that. I don't know if he is necessarily... I don't know that he's a prophet. He went to live with the prophets. He went to be a part of them, but I don't think they made him one. I would agree that he would be allowed to travel through time. He can go wherever he wants, but I'm not convinced that he became a prophet. Maybe he did. I guess maybe it comes down to how you interpret that last episode. By the way, guys, 39 people watching, 41 people watching, I stand correct, and only 13 likes. What's up with that? Either hit that like up or like down. We need to have parity, good people. We need to have parity. Jackson Heathen says, what's a matter with hippies? I don't think anything's a matter with hippies except for they're not necessarily as pro-military as other organizations have been or are. Michael Maloney, TOS was a Navy. TNG was closer to the Coast Guard. DS9 was the Coast Seas trying to fight a war. I would argue that, I would agree that the original series was, they worked like a Navy, but they were basically all of the military come together, because they said it's a full service. Everybody works with everybody. TNG tried to be a science outfit. I agree. Maybe you could argue Coast Guard-ish. DS9 moved it more into military. And I think they were definitively a military by the end, for sure. Shouldn't Jake Sisko have some kind of connection to the Sarah prophet? She's his grandmother. And also, how are you, man? I mean, I'm doing well, Black Adam. How you doing? How you doing, Black Adam? I guess he would have a connection. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. Honestly, they didn't do anything with Jake, so I'm not a huge fan of Jake Sisko, simply because they didn't really do anything with the character. Discovery failed basic military logistics info. The Klingon war in the show was too far stretched to be effective, and worlds are captured and stripped too quickly. Okay. When I talk about Discovery being more military-ish, I really mean it. People are not going to like this. I think Discovery tried to mimic the original series in the way the operations of the ship worked. And to that, I think they did a lot better. I think they did better in TNG. I think they did better than DS9 or Discovery. Discovery did better than TNG and DS9. It doesn't mean Discovery's great. It doesn't mean it's the most awesomest thing ever. I think they did a better job in mimicking the original series when it comes to a military standpoint. Yeah, 59 people watching, 27 likes. 29 likes. If you guys are scared of hitting the like button, hey, but, joking aside, if you actually like listening to this and want me to do more live streams, the more likes I get, the more it pushes the video out and the more it makes me want to do it. So, Just putting it out there because I like to do and interact with you guys. And if the best way to interact is just straight uploads, that's what I'll do. But if you guys let me coming on and you want that interaction, I'll do that too. What's going on, Sarah Girl List? Hope you doing well. Did you have a shower before the stream? Andre is really concerned about my hair. Yes, I did in fact have a shower before the stream. So, is it still canon that Starfleet is an officer corps? Michael Maloney asks. I'm not sure what you mean by that when you say officer corps. It has generally always been a military. It generally always has been a an exploratory military, I guess. A lot of people have compared it to a TNG era, at least, to the British Navy, I think, is what people have tried to say. Hitting like and going to sleep. We'll watch reply. Well, have a good night, Yosef. I hope you enjoy it. It's been very British, like in the, what is it, the 17 or 1800s, where the military also explored the world and things like that, and also did cargo trades and things like that. That's what TNG, at least, I always looked at or appeared to be during their quote-unquote pacifistic age. But the reason why I have this entire subject talking about Admiral Leyton and then reasonable science fiction militaries is it seems like from an actual relatable standpoint, Battlestar Galactica and its dystopias, the Expanse, and even Babylon 5, it seems like we all really relate to those militaries more than we ever could relate to that of the next generation. Yosef, you said my name correctly. I teared up. I have actually talked to quite a few people. I don't know if you're Russian or not, but that name comes off as Russian. And I've talked to a lot of people who have had names similar to that. But yeah, so a lot of people get on to Admiral Leyton for the crimes that would have been nothing for what we see in the Battlestar. We even see a coup in Battlestar Galactica that puts Leyton to shame. And I think that is because of TNG. I think that is because people have an unrealistic expectation of Starfleet. Personally, I would agree that... Trek is supposed to be a utopia. That Trek is supposed to be something that is the best case scenario for us all. But that doesn't mean that it can't be a military or it can be unrealistic. Now, interestingly, a lot of people disagree with that. A lot of people think that humanity can't have any kind of military qualities or want to fight. They can't be, Captain, I think it's Captain Jellicoe, the guy who had to help save Picard. It can't be like that, right? And I wonder why Trek can't have that military aspect. Why does it have to be early? Why does it have to be early season 1 and 2 TNG? I'd love to know your guys' opinions. I have no idea how this conversation is going. I just showed up, so I'm going to be like Kirk and come in want blazing. Well, you blaze away, Kyle. You blaze. Slavic. So, Slavic version. Gotcha, Yosef. That's his name. Talking to Yosef about his name. I miss the days where showrunners and filmmakers put a lot of details into the science fiction shows and movies. Well, I do too. James Halls wants to see my nipples, apparently. But we never saw any enlisted, and that's all Officer Commando raids where what's-his-name lost his foot. We actually did, in DS9, see enlisted. DS9 specifically had enlisted ranks. In TNG, there weren't enlisted people at first, and in fact, ironically, O'Brien was an officer. He wasn't an enlisted person. I believe TNG ultimately moved towards enlisted, but I'd have to double check. But at first, everybody was an officer. Oh, everybody, we have the best cat here, Cindy. Cindy, the best cat, has arrived. What's going on? Leyton's actor was also general in Babylon 5, opposing President Clark's takeover. I know that. He's a good actor. DS9 corrupted the Utopia, but maybe also that Q as well. I disagree, Artzilla. I think the original series shows the Utopia similar to what DS9 says. Macross. I'm actually watching Macross, believe it or not. Captain Jellicoe. I loved how he was pretty stern captain, no BS type by the books. Yeah, Headless Chicken, that's my problem with the episodes involving Captain Jellicoe. I hate how he's treated. He's treated by the crew as if he's some bad person, that he's not the standard. And yet he gets things done, right? He gets things done, and he's the most reasonable out of the bunch, yet they treat him like, it's just frustrating. Jellicoe should have been the Enterprise captain, full stop. I like Picard. I think Picard was a good captain. I would have loved to seen a series with Jellicoe, though. I remember a video where Space Doc brought up Jellicoe and the fact that when you look at those episodes again, he wasn't really the one that was in the wrong from a practical standpoint. I don't ever remember Space Doc doing a video with Captain Jellicoe, but I would completely agree that when you analyze and break down, and I'm going to break down those episodes at some point, Jellicoe made everything work. He made everything happen. And that's why I completely disagree with the way he was treated. I think Riker was fully in the wrong, as was Deanna, in their analysis of him. So and the portrayal of the show is just horrific. The portrayal of Jellicoe and the way the show tried to paint him was horrific too. They tried to make him look like the bad guy, but the writing was contradictory. They tried to make his ways look bad, but he got results. I think Voyager would inspire a second Federation in the Delta Quadrant, and our Federation should meet them one day, and they could even have a fight. They could. That could happen. 80 people watching, 51 thumbs up. Guys, if you like this, hit that thumbs up. One of the reasons I do this is because of the interaction, and that's the channel is a conversation. So if you guys aren't interacting, we aren't having a conversation, then, I'm going to do just upload videos, because that, is what people enjoy doing. So again, that's why I want to see IOM versus Starfleet. Who's IOM? I think that Jellicoe got promoted to Admiral just for getting Troy into uniform. Maybe. Robert Brinkman helping out the channel. As you guys know, the channel only survives through fans like you. Robert Brinkman says 75 watching, only 50 likes. That's what I'm saying. TNG is Federation propaganda. DS9 is the reality. Honestly, a lot of people say that that the shows are from Starfleet's point of view, and so that's why it seems so dissimilar or whatever, right? It's interesting because I could actually see that, though I don't subscribe to it. Again, I do what's canon. Canon that's what actually happens in the series, but I could see TNG being like the propaganda piece and DS9 the reality. I think DS9 is the best hope for us from a it working out standpoint. I think TNG is completely and utterly unreasonable. So, but again, it's funny because a lot of people say that. And in the original series, that's the whole thing. The reason why the original series has some insane stuff in it is because it's all just retelling stories. It's holodeck programs based on real events but didn't actually happen. So, Zontar helping out the channel and a huge fan of the channel. Thank you so much. Starfleet Academy isn't big enough for an organization the size of Starfleet. What other schools do they have for officers? It's possible that Starfleet Academy just has a low a purposefully low turnout, but it's also possible that the core world, all of the core worlds have Starfleet Academies. And another explanation for it is Starfleet Academy is for officers specifically. So it's possible that most of the Federation, most of Starfleet is enlisted and they can go to their own schools. Starfleet is like for the cream of the crop. And so that's why you only need one, because not a lot of people are officers. You look like you got waterboarded by Vox. I did. I didn't do my apology video right, and they waterboarded me. That's exactly what happened. You nailed it. 90 people watching, 61 thumbs up. If you guys like the channel and want to support it, please consider hitting that thumb up. The more people who thumb up, the more it's watched. The more it's watched, the more I can do these. So just a consideration. But yeah, so my question is, do you guys think that Battlestar Galactica or The Expanse or any like that went too far? Do you think they went in the absolute opposite direction when it comes to realism, that it's too barbaric that we can't relate? Whereas TNG may actually be too lighthearted, these others are too far to the right. What do you guys think? I think realistically, Bajor DS9 and the wormhole is going to become the most militarized area in the quadrant. I'd agree with that. It always bothered me how Starfleet left DS9 undefended. Once the Dominion took over after Call to Arms, they had a small fleet station there. I don't even think, did they have a small fleet station there? You know, it's after the first battle of Deep Space Nine. That thing should have been crawling with Federation starships. It should have been crawling before that, because remember, before that happened, there was an attack. No, that didn't happen yet. They still, even within the first month of DS9 coming under Starfleet control, it got attacked by the Cardassians. So you're telling me they didn't put any ships there? I don't know. Battlestar Galactica did it for the most part right, says Orataka Tinga. The Expanse is classic hard sci-fi, says Michael Maloney. There are TNG and Warhammer 40k crossover fan fictions out there, and covers the possibility that TNG is the early parts of the Dark Age of Warhammer 40k. Okay. That would be intriguing. I don't know. It's funny how Starfleet never has any ships around Earth except for the Enterprise. Earth is a prime target for space whales. Yeah, Darth Oculus, that's the interesting... I mean, we know why they do it. It's for the writing in the episodes and such, and movies. But, and even in Homefront, the president of the Federation says Earth is not a military installation. Well, obviously, the entirety of Earth is not a military installation. But if you're saying that Earth isn't a military target, if you're saying that Earth isn't somewhere that almost any empire would want to hit, and it's so true. The thing that everybody mentions this, but it's true, in the early parts of Deep Space Nine, Sisko talks about how the problem is Earth, how the problem is Earth is paradise. And so we fast forward to Homefront, and Sisko's father even talks about how, oh, look, 27 people were killed, and he never thought he'd see the day where 27 people die on 27 people died on Earth. I mean, while I get that, that paints the Federation in such a negative light. They are so relaxed, so mind-numbingly arrogant that they think that Earth is untouchable. And they think that because people haven't died on Earth. Though if you look at the outer parts of the Federation's territory, you look at Bajor, you look at the Cardassian border, the Federation border, the neutral zone, people are hurting and dying all the time. How pompous, how arrogant, how stupid are you? How disconnected? Yosef Petrick, that apology video was trippy. Stop killing Bajorans. Yeah, thanks. I regret doing that video because a lot of people expect this to be completely 100% lore related, and if it's not lore related, I'm serious. It was well within my humor, but I regret doing it simply because it's not what the channel is. It's so far away from it. But yeah, I'll stop trying to harm Bajorans. Sid Alpha, person I am a huge fan of and talk on Twitter, though he responds to me but doesn't follow me on Twitter. That's kind of weird. Most star bases had one or more starships based there for defense and humanitarian aspects for nearby systems. It was always surprising to me that no ships were posted to DS9 before the Defiant. Yeah, I mean, I would agree. They would try to make the argument that DS9 wasn't a Federation installation, even though in Homefront that apparently changed. But they try to make that argument. But especially when you consider the issues that the Federation and Starfleet have went through, you have just random big bad entities come and try to destroy Earth. It's happened at least 2 or 3 times in movies and in different series, and you don't have 10 ships just sitting there. You know, it's just ridiculous to me. Sifra, it is an arrogance. They have about 300 ships, being generous, and they assign the ship patrols along the nearly 1,000 diameter of the Federation. Sifra, if it is an arrogance, and it is as you say, by the way, I'm not convinced that's the case, based on dialogue in TNG, DS9, and Voyager, but it's possible. If it is that way, then I agree. The Federation and Starfleet, they're not arrogant. They're idiots. You have this massive piece of land that you have to defend, and you only have 300 ships to do so. You have hundreds, dozens to hundreds to thousands, ultimately, of planets that are a part of Starfleet. Yes, Alf. Just a second, Alf. Yeah, you have, I think in TNG there was dozens, and ultimately it moved to hundreds of planets that are part of Starfleet, and you can only field, how many? You can only field 300 ships? Are you kidding me? Sid Alpha, I didn't follow you on Twitter. Weird, I just fixed it. Yeah, it's odd because and I was just giving you a hard time, but you'd respond to my stuff or like my stuff, but you never followed me. I mean, I don't care, man. I'm just giving you a hard time. We give each other a hard time all the time. But it's possible, sorry to sidetrack there. It is very possible that, not very, but it is possible they have so few ships, especially when you look at Wolf 359. How many ships were there? 50? 50 ships at the core of the Federation. But that just makes them stupid. It just uninspiringly stupid. Is this an SG-1 background? No, but I can see where you think that. If I was Starfleet, I'd be cranking out ships, even just automated ones, to carry supplies or scan territory for branches or borders. You see, No Stripe 361. It's interesting you say that, because in the original series, they had automated ships. They had it in the animated series for sure. I think they had a few actually in the original series, but that all went away in TNG. Apparently everybody does the ship. So I don't know. Earth and the core worlds were like Louis the 26th. Marie Antoinette. The UFP just never got hit by an outer world French-style revolution. I could see that. Orville mentioned that the human fleet alone has 3,000 ships, so Starfleet should have at least as many. I would agree. The thing about the Orville is I think if it's done in a way that makes it more logical. When you look at the Battle of Earth, which I did a breakdown on this channel, the fact is the amount of ships they have is reasonable. They had an S-ton. They had like hundreds of ships ready to fight, which you would if you had a planetary union like in Orville. And you should if you have a federation like in Star Trek. By the way, guys, if you don't know Sid Alpha, you should really check him out. He's a real fun channel. He's trying to get 100,000. He's almost there. I'm thinking about doing a video to try to help him, but he does like games journalism and talks about games and stuff and just what's going on in the industry. Absolutely love the channel. And if you don't like him, you can unsubscribe to me because he's awesome. Hey, Lore Reloaded, what if you're president of the United Federation Planets? Well, I wouldn't become president of the UFP. I am far too center-leaning for any of that. But if I was, I would be having more an Orville fill. Starfleet would be required to have at least 3,000 ships. And I would start enforcing our borders, or like I actually am in the universe, their borders and things like that. So I don't think it would. I'd have at least a core of 2,000 core ships for combat emergencies, then like 2,000 more versatile. Uh, you know, that's an interesting piece. I've talked about this before. So, fleshing out this United Federation of Planets. First off, we don't know what power the president has over Starfleet. Apparently, Starfleet can run its own business because that's what it does. DS9 has orders being given, and we see in TOS that he controls it. But really, when you look at TNG, a lot of DS9, they apparently, the admirals just do whatever the hell they want. But if I'm the president, I split Starfleet into two different organizations, two different separate sections. And I make it very, very clear to the universe at large. There's a science division of Starfleet, and there is a military division of Starfleet. The science division does medical, it does research, it does exploratory, will still have advanced weapons on it, will still give it the ability to defend itself, but these ships aren't and won't be used for any military objectives. And there is a military fleet, and this will be specifically military. Now, there will be extreme consequences to attacking the science and medical fleets versus the military fleets. God bless you, God help you, should you decide to attack a science vessel like an Oberth. But anyway, that'd be me. Black Adam, do you think we should go back to the Delta Quadrant and stay in new ships that can get there and back in a week, but see new parts of the Delta Quadrant? I mean, if they have that ability, I would say so. I would think. Andre says it's not a competition. What's the competition between? It'd be kind of a waste to have dozens of ships parked around Earth just for defense. Ships are made to travel. Each world needs remote operated defense platforms. They can give much more firepower. See, I disagree, Nova. I think we would need... what's going on, Hell Reaper 013? I disagree. I think you need ships because ships have the ability to be mobile. And just having defense platforms, you can get around those. So you can find ways around those. So that'd be my opinion. You love the joke. Yeah, as I said, I regret doing the joke, but I think it's my humor. I think it was in poor taste for what I usually do on the channel. Science division, think Oberth. Well, Sifra, no. If I'm thinking science division, think Intrepid. Science division, think Nova. Not necessarily the Oberth. I would even probably have a Galaxy type class ships there too. Ships that if they meet someone who isn't in the know, who aren't in the know, they can defend themselves, or if they come up against something. But talk to you later, Sid Alpha. Thanks for dropping by, man. It's an honor to have you at the channel. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to see your next video. But I would have ships that would be able to defend themselves in instances for people who might not know, or for entities that aren't like nations. But they wouldn't be built like Defiance, Acuras, and Sovereigns. So the Galaxy class, the Nebula class, Nova, Intrepid, ships like that would be in the science and medical division. They would have Starfleet security on them, and they would be able to defend themselves. But they'd be nowhere near the monsters that you see, again, on the Acura, the Defiant, the Prometheus, the Sovereign. And that would be the rule. That would be the way things worked. You don't attack any Starfleet ships. That's not going to be a positive thing for you. But if you attack a ship that is in the science division, then you just screwed up to hell and back. I don't care who the hell you are. At that point, you get to see why we have split them off and what the military versions of that ship look like. Angela says Excelsior is science or medical. Excelsior in TNG and on would be science or medical. Excelsior in TOS would be more military. What if you arm Earth and the moon and surface to space missiles, trillions of torpedoes and phasers and planetary shields, even transport pines, make Earth a kill zone. I mean, there's always an advantage to having ships because you again have platforms that can move. You have a way to proactively take care of something. And if you have something that just sits there or something that's automated, I feel like there's ways around that, you know? So I think defense platforms are great and make sense and you should have them. I mock them for not having those, but I think you should have ships around too. I think it should be a mix. Defense platforms can't counterattack. Ships can't defend to the death without casualties. They need both. Foxmasters. Yeah, I would agree with you, Foxmasters. So military Intrepid class is basically Warship Voyager. Yeah, but I mean, so here's my thing. If I'm running it, and I have these two different, I have Starfleet Science Division, Starfleet, the military division, the ships would be blatantly known to be different. Intrepid would be on the science side, and there would be no military variant. And the reason why I would do that is that so you know, if you see an Intrepid class vessel, you don't have to worry about wondering if it's for military or it's for science. You're not going to get confused. An Intrepid is not used for military purposes. And an Akira class vessel will not be used for science. If it's used for science, there's something crazy going on. Lore Reloaded, sounds like you'd want my old specialist fleets program rolled out through the UFP. Sure, if that's the way it is, Oritaka, that is exactly what I want. The game series Battletech had massive automated defenses around Earth and other key planets. They were taken over and used against their makers, who had to fight against their own defenses. Yeah, and that's another thing. Crews, there's positives and negatives. I think that you need to have both. If the Federation is evil, what about the Terran Empire? Well, if the Federation is evil, the Terran Empire is just eviler. You know what's interesting is the mirror universe, as shown in the original series, and definitely in Enterprise, and a little bit in DS9, doesn't necessarily show the mirror of the person. It can be the same person under different circumstances. You know, when you look at some of the characters, even in the original series, the characters aren't necessarily the polar opposite. They're just the same people in a different circumstance. Would you keep your military vessels closer to home? One thing always bugged me about Wolf 359, no Earth defense fleet, well, except 3 tiny ships. They had like 50 ships showed up. And yeah, you're like 6 of them were military, or would be considered military. I mean, I would have the military fleet would be spread throughout. I would have a bulk at the core and a bulk at the outer edges, with a few running in the middle of it. And I would try to have military ships near where science fleet ships were. My policies for the Federation would involve very nastily punishing states who attack us. I'd stop with peace at any price policies. You know, if you stopped with the peace at any price, though, it would stop being Starfleet, if we're all being honest. By the way, 106 people watching, 80 upvotes, doing real better than what it usually is. But the more people that upvote, the more it's likely to be seen. Can't send a super chat FML. Other people have, so I don't know why it's saying that. You're not blocked, Shuster. It could be your name, though. But I'm not sure. If you could command, you can send, what is it? Hold on, wait for it. You can wait for it. Yeah, I'll have to find my paypal.me for you guys if you want to send it that way. But, I don't know. What was I talking about beforehand? Sorry, guys. You guys got me. If you want to send money that way, you can. Boom. What were we talking about beforehand? Would you ever consider a crossover with Eckhart's Ladder? I can send a link to his channel if you would be interested. He does a lot of lore videos. I actually have a video on his channel. I'd love to do a crossover with Eckhart's. I know he's really busy. He's a good guy. We follow each other, talk ever so often. I like Eckhart's. When my channel was shut down by YouTube, Eckhart's was one of the ones to stand up. He's good people. As history buffs, YouTube channel says, like the show, help the channel grow. Yeah, I love history buffs. The history buffs is one of my favorite channels to watch. They're a lot of fun. So, I will be getting off very shortly. Alas, guys. What do you have anything else? What do you guys have before I go? Yeah, who is that? History buffs? The hard split sounds naive. I mean, it's not like anyone who has ever used peaceful civilian vessels to mask military operations. Why should the Romulans believe you, Schumer? The Romulans aren't going to believe me. The Romulans won't believe anything I do regardless of what I do. They're not going to believe it at all. Starfleet is based on a promise that it's not, that it will do it. Whether you believe me or not is really not my concern. If you decide to attack a science vessel, then we have issues. But I think that mixing science and military is just a bad idea. Even just internally for Starfleet, even if we remove, if none of the other governments are going to listen, I think internally it's bad. I would have wolf packs of warships roaming around, and every science ship I would have a medium warship around it. I mean, I would have them near. I don't know that I'd have them run together. I wouldn't mix them like that, but I have them around. Maybe in operations where it could be dicey. Hey, Laura, would you ever do a crossover with JP from Egotastic Fun Time? Maybe. I'd want to talk to him. Egotastic I like fairly decently. He and I have some disagreements, but he's pretty decent. If he wanted to, I wouldn't be against it, I guess. What about the unbanning of cloaking devices in the Prime Directive? That would depend. That would depend on. I don't know. What about the unbanning of cloaking devices? I guess I would unban cloaking devices if the Romulans stepped out of line. But I don't know if it's keeping Romulans from attacking and destroying and causing a war, then I might try to find ways to counteract a cloak, but not necessarily create a cloak. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I wonder how different it would be if the MCU shield replaced Starfleet, except no Hydra. Very, very different. Speaking as a military member, Galactica seems to portray one of the most accurate depictions of military culture in science fiction, says Alex. Yeah, you know, I haven't been in the military, but I agree it seems like it does a good job. Would you take part in the debates with anti-Trekker versus Trek yards? No, I won't be doing that. Plus, separation is good for conscious objectors who want to science without the military, says Skater2. Yes, it would be. I agree. I'd agree. I'm actually watching TNG Justice right now. I hate Wesley. I don't like Wesley either. Would the Treaty of Algernon still hold after the destruction of Romulus? Technically not. No, I don't think it would. I don't think it would at all. But I don't know that you'd want to do it either. I think that's going to be a lot of what Star Trek Picard is going to be about. All right, Ashakara Singh. Dude, crossover with Isaac Arthur. Come on, just think about it. It'd be the most amazing stuff. I don't know who Isaac Arthur is, but if he's interested, he can send me an email at james@lorereloaded.com. I'm not against it. How would I handle the Prime Directive? I would handle it pragmatically. Like I said, in the pragmatic... If you look up on Lore Reloaded, pragmatic Prime Directive, which is how the original series handled it. That's how I'd handle it. All right, guys, I think we're going to end it here. I have got some things to do. But I really had fun with this. Yeah, I look forward to having more and doing more of these. Again, if you saw my first video, it was all a joke because Vox is being stupid. They're trying to take down hundreds, thousands of YouTubers because they don't like what they're saying. I don't agree with Crowder, the way Crowder does things a lot, but they're using this to try to hurt small YouTubers like me, and I was just having some fun with it. I apologize if that impacted anyone because they took it seriously. That was not my intent. So Hope you guys have some fun. And Alexandra Hagen, helping out the channel, says, and thanks. And I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.